For this episode, we're doing another special effects artist retrospective. He's worked alongside some of the greats like Rick Baker, David Cronenberg, H.R. Giger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Joe Piscopo. His greatest accomplishment was even being married to Linnea Quigley, that lucky son of a... Steve Johnson on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention Planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Time for the show. Yay.
What?
Even after all these years, I still dance in my seat to that theme song. Man.
Heck yeah. So good.
Hello and welcome to Attack of the Killer Podcast, the show that dares to ask the questions, what does Candyman do when his balls itch? This is episode 358, and we will be talking about special effects artist Steve Johnson. See, kids, there was a time when movie special effects were done practically without the use of CGI. There was also a time when practical effects were also ruined by CGI, and more on that later. But first, I would like to tell you a little bit about our Patreon. If you go to our site, jointheattackers.com, you can become part of the Attack of the Killer podcast family that we call the Attackers. When you do, you can get all kinds of extra content, such as our YouTube shows, original artwork by me called Mikey's Monsters, where I draw you as a monster of my choice. You get access to our exclusive chat called Attack of the Killer Chat. You can pick movies for our watch parties and Patreon pick episodes. You can also get our bonus episode. Now, our next upcoming bonus episode, we're going to be discussing the movies we are looking forward to in 2026. The only way you can hear that episode is to support our Patreon and become an attacker. What? You need more incentive? You can also get shout-outs on the show. It's super cool becoming an attacker, but don't take my word for it. Here's a list of the attackers that can back me up.
Timothy Leonard, Robin Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett J. Royer, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godsell, Stefan Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Mahler, Rodney Dean Hutchinson Jr., Carmen DeHague, Abraham Ariano, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Bill Fisher, Greg Dedrick, Sam Lenz, Garth Jacobson, Brett White, Tiffany Dewey, Scott Reebsman, Chris Collins, and Jacob McLaughlin.
You too can be on that list, as the Evil Dead would say, join us and become an attacker. Just go to jointheattackers.com. You can go there, pick the tier to get the content you want, and become an attacker today. That's jointheattackers.com. And now it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. While doing research for the show, he noticed that Steve Johnson did effects work on a film called The Invisible Raptor. That was probably the easiest job Steve Johnson ever did. Tad!
Hey, thanks for listening.
He probably thinks the movies for the show are all bad, but the last time I saw them, there were only 2 people that walked out. Now, granted, I was on a plane, but that's beside the point. Jason!
Hey-oh, thanks everybody for tuning in.
He was walking down the sidewalk just eating his chocolate bar when he ran into 2 other people. He got his chocolate bar into her peanut butter, and they both got their peanut butter and chocolate into his alien DNA. Together, they created Reese's Species. Brian!
That was a long way around, but it landed well. It was worth it. Hello, everybody.
Okay. And now, you probably are wondering,
You know
what
me,
other stuff have we been watching besides movies for the show? Well, I'm going to turn it over to Tad so he can find out what we watched.
All right, this week I'm ripping off the Band-Aid. Brian, what have you watched?
Oh, nothing too... Oh, no, that's not true at all. Let's see here. Evil Destroyer. That's a fun, silly, Godfrey Ho, everything but the kitchen sink. And then also the kitchen sink ninja movie with some Janshi hopping vampires and white guys pretending to be ninjas and all the things that you've come to know and love from Godfrey Ho movies. I watched Ghost Keeper, which I'd been excited to see for a long time because Justin Beam is a huge fan of this movie. And one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels finally just put this out, so I ordered it right when it went up for pre-order. And, it's got, like, Justin is basically the only person I know or have ever heard of say anything nice about this movie. Most people hate it, but I don't know if I was just in the right mood or, like, something about it hit me. It's weird and slow and creepy. It's not really a slasher movie. It's not really a ghost movie either, or is it? Maybe. But it's a Canadian film. So it's shot in the winter, so there's all this beautiful snowy landscape scenery. The sounds of the movie are all very hushed. The swish of the snow and the wind and the trees and crackles of fire and the fireplace kind of thing. This is a weird thing to say because it's a horror movie, but it kind of made me think of a snow day in elementary school out on the farm where, mom and dad still had to work, but I had the day off from school. So, the adults are gone for the day. I'm home alone. There's a fire in the fireplace. There's, a foot of snow outside. The wind's blowing around, but I'm inside where it's nice and warm and everything's real kind of quiet and just, it's got a really unique, interesting vibe. And the score by legendary Paul Zaza is really, really good too. I said something in the attacker chat that I don't think anyone understood and everyone just ignored, but Paul Zaza is the Bernard Herrmann of Canucksploitation. Anyway, check out Ghost Keeper. Trust me, it's good.
Sold me.
Your parents trusted you with fire, Home Alone?
Yeah. I never burned the house down. Almost set one of my friend's dad's garages on fire making napalm one time, but anyway.
God, my parents wouldn't trust me with a fire extinguisher home alone.
I did a few rewatches of some things that I'd been meaning to get back to and hadn't seen in forever. Love to Kill, which is one of Anthony Wong's nastiest Category 3 performances. That movie will mess you up real good. And then Who Can Kill a Child? Because I think we talked about it on the last episode or maybe one previous. But I know it came up, and I've had the Blu-ray on my shelf forever, and I haven't seen this movie in probably 15 years. It's like, it's time to check that one out again. And man, it's even better than I remember it, honestly.
Such a good movie.
Like, that is one of the tensest, scariest, like, horror movie 101. You want to make a scary fucking suspenseful movie, watch Who Can Kill a Child and see how it's done. And then a bunch of kids getting gacked.
It's scary, and yet it's been a while since I've seen it, but doesn't the movie takes place majority in the daytime?
It does, yeah.
That is true testimony to your horror film.
Bright, hot summer sun. Like, it's one of the sweatiest movies I've ever seen too. 'Cause it's about this English couple who take a vacation to Spain and go out to this remote little island where the guy remembers having vacation when he was a kid or something like that. I already forgot his connection to the island because it's not really that important. And they go there and everything is just deathly quiet. And it's supposed to be this big festival time. So like, where the fuck is everybody? This is so weird. And then they start seeing, a child here, a child there. And then they're more, it's kind of like The Birds, that scene where they're all like slowly gathering on the playground equipment outside the school. Like it kind of operates in the same way. And then they come to find out something has just snapped and all these kids have murdered all the adults on the island. And it's implied by the really long opening credits, which are played over actual war atrocity footage. So again, if watching like literal piles of dead people being shoved into a hole by a bulldozer turn you off, I would not recommend watching this one.
Or at least skip past the opening credits.
Right. But, basically the idea is the adults have fucked up the world so much and made everything so awful, and the children are always the ones who suffer the most, that it's like this evolutionary psychological switch got flipped and the children are like turning on the adults. It's kind of like a really, really brutal version of that one classic Star Trek episode where they land on the planet where all the kids kill the adult. I don't know if you remember that one. Anyway. And let's see what else. Okay, I rewatched Until the Light Takes Us. That's a documentary from 2008 or 9, I think, about all the black metal church burnings in Norway. Most of it is told through interviews with Fenris from Darkthrone and Varg from Burzum, but there's a few others. Frost from Satyricon is another somewhat big part of it. There are a few others sprinkled throughout, but it's one of those things you watch it, and black metal is probably my favorite genre of music. And you watch it and just remember, like, oh man, other than Fenris, who is just weirdly sweet and wholesome and funny and silly, all of these guys are just awful, pretentious, horrible assholes. It's very much a separate the art from the artist thing. And then the last two I'll bring up are Turtle Vision, which is the first movie I watched out of the Hisayasu Sato Volume 3 box set from Vinegar Syndrome and Melusine. So you remember he was my most watched director last year through Letterboxd. And word has it, though, that after this Volume 3, they're going to switch to a different Pink Film director for the next box set of these things they do. So he might not make my list this year. We'll see. Maybe I'll track down some more of his on through other means. And then finally, another Vincent Partner label release that I was very excited about because I've been wanting to see this movie for a long time, and finally got this spectacular 4K release, The Great Silence. It's a spaghetti western starring Klaus Kinski, and it's one of, if not the best westerns I've ever seen. Like, it is just incredible. And another snowy one, too. So that's kind of an unusual thing in that it takes place up in the mountains in Utah. So everything is like waist-deep snow. And it had to have been an absolute fucking nightmare to film this movie. Not only just getting all the camera equipment and stuff up into the mountains through all this deep snow, but then having to have all of your actors riding horses in it. It just... Yeah. But yeah, it's again, the cinematography is just gorgeous. The performances are fantastic. Great score, great story. Just, it's one of those movies you watch it and be like, man, I can't think of a damn thing I would change about that to make it better. It's just perfection. So. And that's what I watched. Cool. What about you guys?
Excellent. How about you, Jason?
I promise, guys, I'm going to watch a movie this year. Haven't yet.
Football's almost over.
Yeah, well, and we're getting through Stranger Things. We're halfway through the last season now, so that'll be done soon. But then Shrinking's back on, so that'll be another. Anyway,
God damn it.
That's what I watched. Nothing.
All right, Mike.
Okay. Well, first off, I've been putting this one off to talk about on what we watched, mostly because like. I'll keep myself limited to 3, and I've seen more. If I've seen more than 3, then I can shift it to the next episode in case I didn't watch enough between episodes. But I also kind of been putting this one off because it's a hard one to talk about. But I watched from last year this documentary. I think it's on Peacock, maybe. It's called Predators.
Yeah.
It's a documentary exploring the show To Catch a Predator. Has anybody else seen this?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I've heard of it, but I don't know if I want to.
Yep.
It's tough because the film doesn't force an opinion either way if the show was a good thing or a bad thing. It kind of presents both sides. I mean, obviously the show did a lot of good exposing child predators and educating parents of the dangers of the internet for their children. But yet there was a darker side of the show that ruined a lot of lives for the sake of higher ratings. So maybe the show took things too far. The biggest example was the big controversy, and what ended up getting the show canceled was the result of a sting gone wrong, where there was this Texas judge who was supposed to show up at the sting house but didn't show. So the police and the film crew decided to go and raid the man's house, only to find that he had killed himself. So it shows a lot of the footage of them staking out the house and waiting to find out what's going on the inside. The biggest thing for me that kind of shows like you know, the producers of all of this may not be the best people either, was when the show, after it got canceled, it went online. And there was a sting operation where they arrested an 18-year-old boy who was chatting with a 15-year-old girl. The boy had just graduated, was off to college, but now, you know, after being arrested and now being labeled as a sex predator, even though he didn't do anything, he just now lives at home with his parents and rarely ever leaves his bedroom.
No.
Yeah. So the real point of the film, I think, is for the filmmaker to kind of answer his own questions about the show, as he was abused as a child as well and became obsessed with To Catch a Predator, because at the end of like every episode when Chris Hansen's interviewing these guys, he would ask the predators, "Why did you do it?" And this filmmaker watched every episode in hopes to get the answer, and no one really ever answered it. So he was kind of hoping the documentary would help him with that. The thing that has captured my attention with this documentary, that has caused me to like overthink it so much, is that the documentary ends with a one-on-one interview between the filmmaker and Chris Hansen. And it obviously gets a bit tight, gets a little bit uptight towards the end of the interview. But it's the very end of it that has got to be one of the most thought-provoking endings I've seen of any documentary, and I'm still trying to unpack it. I don't know if I want to give it away or anything. Hopefully somebody else will watch this and I can have a discussion with them. The next thing I watched is Kevin Smith's latest movie, the 4:30 movie. So happy that this finally became available to watch for free. I think it's Kevin Smith's the best movie since Tusk, and I'm a fan of Tusk. I have not been a big fan of everything that came after Tusk. And I think this is probably his best one he's done in a long, long time. It takes place in the 80s. Basically, it's just a day in the life story about these three friends who have plans to spend all day skipping from theater to theater, watching movies all day. I feel like this film is probably autobiographical for Kevin. I have a feeling that this is based more on his life back in those days, especially with the lead. He's a big movie nerd who thinks of himself more as a writer than a filmmaker. That is quotes I've heard Kevin Smith said about himself ever since he even made Clerks. So the movie's lying on story, but the film is also pads out its running time with a bunch of fake trailers and scenes from a fake movie. Those are a lot of fun. I dig that stuff. It's obviously kind of Kevin Smith's take on the Grindhouse thing. The fake films are filled with all of his usual cameos. I think that's pretty cool. I think he's found a place for all those cameos instead of like forcing them into the regular story and screeching things to a halt to be like, hey, here's my buddy Ralph Garman. So, there's like his wife, his daughter, Jason Biggs, Dietrich Bader, Rosario Dawson. All of those people are in the trailer, or in the trailers. As much fun and funny as the fake trailers are, sometimes it gets a little old that Kevin Smith always relies on either pot humor or sexual innuendos. Like the movie within the movie that these kids are going to watch is called Astro Blaster and the Beavermen. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that stuff was funny back in the day when you're watching Mallrats and there's a store in the background called Mug Runchers and they don't ever call it out. That's funny. But when you put it front and center and it's 30 years later and it's always those jokes over and over again, it starts to get a little old. But for me, the funniest of the fake movies is a movie within the movie called Bucklick, Bucklick, but every time they say it, it sounds like they're saying Buttlick. And the movie is based, in this universe, the movie is based on a series of detective novels. So when we get in the movie theater and we see the poster for Bucklick, it is clearly the Fletch poster. So I'm like, oh, this has got to be a jab at Chevy Chase. It's totally got to be a middle finger to Chevy Chase to rename Fletch to Buttlick. So that I found really funny. There's also a reference to another fake movie called Dental School, which is pretty cool because that is a reference going all the way back to the first Clerks. Dental School is a fake movie name that they talk about in Clerks as well. So the cast does a really good job. These kids that I've never seen before all did great. They were just so fun and relatable and funny, and I thought they just did amazing. Although my favorite performances are from Justin Long, who plays this character named Stank, and Adam Pawley, who plays the angry emo movie usher. They totally steal their scenes and are completely hilarious. So I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend 4:30 movie, but I'm going to leave it at that because I've gone on
Where's
way
it
too
at?
long. Oh, shoot. I should have wrote that down.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Yeah, if you do a search, you'll find it. I think it was maybe Pluto.
We use the Just Watch app. Don't worry.
I use it too. It's not always accurate, guys.
I tried, Ted. I tried.
It is.
Okay.
I'm looking now on there, and it is on Prime Video. No, I don't see it anywhere for free. So,
Interesting. I watched it for free. It's not always red, is it?
we'll see. Well, tell me where you play it. Watch it.
I think it was Pluto TV.
Okay.
Tiffany's nodding her head, so
Okay.
she's agreeing with me. You know it's right.
All right, Jason. What if we already asked you? Is that it? Is it me? My turn?
Oh yeah, what have you
Hey,
watched?
Ted.
Yeah, because Jason watched nothing. That's what threw me off.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot to make up for you, Jason.
Good.
I've been
Like what?
busy.
I know you've got
I was
at
trying
least
to-
one that was also on my list, but I figured you'd bring it up, so I left it off.
Yeah. So I have a lot of rewatches. I'll just throw those out there, and we won't have to discuss them. But one of my favorite movies growing up was La Bamba, and
Yes.
I got
Oh,
Nikki
yeah.
to watch that for the first time.
Is that because
she
we
had
talked
never
about
seen
Lou Diamond Phillips not too long
A
ago?
little bit of that, yeah, from the last episode,
time,
and I just Nikki had never seen it, and it was like a staple in our house. So I was like, let's give this a watch, and she loved it. And then I finally watched the 4K of Sidekicks with Chuck Norris.
4K.
Love that
4K?
movie.
Is that
Yeah.
the K stand for kids?
Vinegar Syndrome.
4 kicks.
What's funny is we'll be talking about the villain from this movie later tonight because he's also in a movie we watched, Mr. Joe Piscopo.
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 It doesn't matter.
But he's in Sidekicks too. I forgot
Yeah,
he
that's right, he
has
is.
some very questionable racial stereotype characters he plays.
Oh, of
but
course.
yeah, Nikki thought the movie was hilarious. New Netflix movie called The Rip. I really enjoyed that. Anybody else watch that?
It looks cool. I will watch
With
it.
Affleck and Damon, a good like crime drama, really good. Rewatched Misery on the big screen. Love that movie still. Fantastic. I watched a newish documentary. I think it came out at the end of 2025 called It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. Any Jeff Buckley fans?
Yeah.
It's on Max, HBO Max, and it is that still called HBO Max?
It's back to HBO Max. It went to just
Okay.
Max, and now it's back to HBO Max.
Well, if you know Jeff Buckley,
He's the John, it's the John Cougar Mellencamp of streaming services.
right, or the streaming service formerly known as Max, I don't know.
There you go.
The documentary is called "It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley," about the musician from the early '90s who basically wrote and recorded one of the best albums of all time, and then died a tragic death, as many of our heroes in the '90s did. But it is such a beautiful movie and such a interesting details about his life. A lot I did not know about. My friend Nico, shout out to him, introduced me to Jeff Buckley in high school, and I've been obsessed with his really first and only. I mean, there are other albums, but they're never like fully complete. Him recording front to back. A lot of them have been put together with live albums or stuff from his demos or stuff that he recorded. But such a good album, and I've been obsessed with it forever, and just never really got down that rabbit hole. So when this documentary came out, I knew I got to check it out. And yeah, it's very sad. It has his mom and his ex and his former girlfriend and bandmates, and just such a interesting guy. Very deep, very emotional, very sensitive. And it's sort of one of those things where you just know where it's going to end. It's like, man, another La Bamba type thing, you know, but this is a documentary. Definitely check that out if you're a fan of his music, or if not, like, watch the movie and you'll be a fan of his music because it's beautiful music. I also watched Secret Mall Apartment. Anyone see that yet?
No.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So it's a documentary that hit like every festival last year, became like a big award winner. I don't think it was nominated for an Oscar, but it should have been. It's really cool. Basically, I'm trying to remember what state this was even in. Rhode Island, and 8 Rhode Islanders created a secret apartment inside a busy mall and lived there for 4 years, filming everything along the way. So
Nice.
this group of like 4 artists, they sort of occupied these big warehouses in the middle of Rhode Island, and they created their own like art space. They were like these old abandoned gutted warehouses, and they filled them with murals and all kinds of really weird, interesting art. Well, the city sort of came along. There is like right along the train tracks. Reminded me a lot of the stuff downtown in Burlington. And some developers came in the early 90s, and they were like, of course, as happened everywhere, they were like, we are going to take all these buildings, bulldoze them, and build a humongous mall. And so they did. And these artists, sort of out of spite, started exploring this mall and realized that they're like looking at the blueprints, and there's like, there's a void somewhere in this building. Like the layout doesn't make sense. What is in this space? So they crawled back there, and they found this huge void between 2 walls, basically. And
It's the back.
as a joke, as a joke, they're like, what if we lived here for 24 hours? We have a food court. We have all these stores. Like, we could live here for 24 hours. Then they're like, what if we did a week? That'd be funny. And then it became 4 years. They moved in
Awesome.
like a couch, a hutch. They fucking built walls. They brought hundreds of cinder blocks and cement bags into this place, undetected, and built walls and put a door so they could lock their space. I mean,
Wow.
they were putting in flooring. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah, it's unreal. And like the fact that they figured out where they could go without being detected, what time they knew, like when the security would like leave and come, and they got so comfortable with the place. Like, and I'm not really even spoiling anything. Like, just you have to see it because each of them had these little handy cams so they could film the whole process. About like, you know, the first couple days they were just sort of like bored and trying on clothes, and then they would sneak into space, and then they're like, what if we, and they went to like Salvation Army, like, what if we bought like a couch? That'd be sort of funny if we could somehow get a couch in this place. And then, you know, they're literally laying bricks and create a wall and put a locked door on it. And it's awesome. It's such a, like a fun punk rock thing. And they go through this guy's like art career a little bit and sort of show his background and why, you know, this is not that uncommon for him. But that was fantastic.
It's called
It's
what
on
again?
Netflix. Secret Mall Apartment.
Okay.
Sounds really cool.
We-
You always
is very
find
cool.
these like weird little documentaries out of nowhere, and then I'm so, after you describe it, I'm just like so like want to watch it.
Yeah, that one's really cool, and I almost booked it last year at the Capitol because I think they had one of the filmmakers at Film Scene in Iowa City last year, maybe even late 2024, and I just knew like Burlington, it'd be a hard sell, so I didn't end up booking it. But I was so stoked to finally see it. And then the last thing, which I think is what Brian was alluding to, was 28 years later, the Bone Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I will not spoil anything, but it fucking rips. I mean, there's I can't. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's like some fucking needle drops in this movie. I liked it way better than 28 Years Later.
Yeah, I did too. And I feel though like I need to watch 28 Years again to like properly digest it because it was so different from what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think I didn't quite absorb. Like I liked it, but I just don't think I quite fully picked up what it was trying to do. But it is such a good because this starts like immediately after that one. It goes right in, so they're really two halves of the same long story. But yeah, this one was just incredible, and I mean, you could probably guess which needle drop was my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the most metal scene of the last 20 years. Fucking awesome.
Right.
My favorite needle drop was a Duran Duran needle drop. But so cool. Like, I was a little bit leery when it was announced that like someone that's not Danny Boyle is making a 28 movie, and I'm like, why wait till the fourth one? Such a weird decision.
Right. They didn't.
And then
he didn't make the second one either, but that one was terrible.
Yeah, I like the second one, but this is my favorite sequel.
Yeah.
This is by far my favorite sequel in the franchise. I loved it. We were like smiling ear to ear in the theater, and there's times where on the edge of our heated recliners. Yeah, there's some super tense moments, and then I like get home and I go down the rabbit hole and find out like our main villain is based on a real person, and it's like fuck.
Really?
There goes my Halloween costume. Yeah, look it up, dude. It is crazy lore. Like the Brits are like, I can't believe Americans watch this and they like it and they don't even know who this guy is. And apparently it's like someone that's it's like their Captain Kangaroo over there. He like hosted like a kid's show, but then turned out he was like a sex predator. I don't know, man, but
wait, who is it? It's not the guy from Jim Will Fix It, is it?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look I know of one British children's television host that turned out to be a horrible sex predator, but it could be a different guy. I don't know. Kids TV host.
They based what's the main villain's name in this movie? It's
Jimmy.
I mean, I know it's like the Jimmys,
Jimmy
but
Crystal.
Like,
that's
Crystal,
why I asked.
yes.
That's why I asked if it was the guy from Jim Will Fix It, because his name is Jim. But I don't remember that guy dressing in a goofy tracksuit.
Oh yeah, the track people at the end.
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile, Savile, Savile is who it's based on. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly, yeah. So I didn't realize
Dead
that's
Predator
who it was based on, but I do know who it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and he had the like bad blonde haircut, which inspired all the other Jimmys. Yeah. But anyways, this movie rocks. It fucking blew me away. I'm so sad it didn't do well in the box office. Nia DaCosta deserves better because this was fucking great. I just had such a blast. I was giddy watching this movie from beginning to end. Highly recommend. It's definitely going to be on my top 10 of this year. So that's what I watched.
All right. Thank you, Tad. Now we're going to get into our topic, which is special effects artist Steve Johnson. He's an effects artist whose career has spanned more than 30 years. His work has appeared in over 200 films, countless television shows, theme parks, commercials, and music videos. He's worked on everything from like Ghostbusters to Spider-Man 2. But we're not going to talk about those movies. No. Tad, what is our first movie that we're going to talk about?
Our first movie is Dead Heat.
There's definitely something very weird going on here.
Detective Roger Mortis has a problem. He's dead. But Detective Bigelow is bringing him back alive.
We have something on the monitor, Captain.
That's okay. Don't get up. Told you not to get up.
Now, he's got 12 hours to solve the toughest murder case of his career. own.
What is this thing? Very ugly. Get down!
Remember the good old days when guns killed people?
That's it. From now on, I'm a vegetarian.
How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Treat Williams
Sit down.
and Joe Piscopo are dead heat.
You shoot them, they don't die.
You can't keep a good cop dead.
In a bold attempt to prove that police work is best done after death, two hard-nosed LAPD detectives stumble onto a criminal conspiracy that literally brings people back from the dead. When one of the cops gets himself very inconveniently killed, science steps in to slap a temporary expiration date on him and sends him back into work anyways. Of course, you still have to work even though you're dead. Now he's a walking corpse with a ticking clock, decaying skin, and absolutely no patience for paperwork. I saw this for the first time actually on the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs, and absolutely fucking loved it. It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, I love that it combines like everything that's great and dumb about the 80s. Like we have a buddy cop movie where we have one guy who does it by the book and one guy who's the muscle-bound dummy with the curly hair who wears a leather jacket.
Check.
But then we have, they drive the really cool car. They're stopping the bad guys, but one of them dies, and now there's fucking zombies. It's like, it combines great things that I love about 80s movies into one, and how could you not love it? I picked up the 4K after I watched it on the last drive-in because I had so much fun with it. I mean, if nothing else, the scene at the Chinese restaurant, like the deli, is absolutely worth it. But the whole movie fucking rules, and it holds up from rewatching. And thank you for picking this one and letting me be the one to introduce it because I love it.
Sweet, good.
It's funny that this episode is based on the work of a particular effects artist, and the best effect scene in the movie we're currently talking about was done by a different guy. But
Which scene was that?
the deli scene was done by a guy named Todd Masters.
Oh. See, that's the problem with any of these films, any effects artists is, and they always have, if it's a particular effects house that's doing it.
Sure. Well, in a movie
they
like
have
this, that's
several people working underneath them, so to really
and
put
they
a,
always do. Like no movie that says effects by this guy, that does not mean that one guy did all the it's all the people who work for him, and especially in a movie like this that is low budget, has a short shooting schedule, and a shitload of effects needs. They're going to be getting multiple groups of people to work on different things. So.
Yeah, I too love this movie. I loved it when it came out back in the day. This is the height.
Did you see this in theaters?
No, I didn't see it in theaters. Okay, I should have said when it first came out on video. But I remember reading I don't think it came to any theater that was near where I lived back in high school. But I remember it was all over Fangoria magazine. Even that double-faced biker guy that ends up killing Roger was even on the cover of an issue. But this is like at the height of excessive 80s violence, and I was totally into it at the time. I mean, I was reading Punisher comics, it's like, and to me, no action scene in the history of action movies was better than the point-blank gunfight towards the end of the film.
Love it so much.
Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going.
They just can't kill each other, so they just keep
It's the
shooting.
They Live with guns.
Yeah.
It's like the They Live fist fight. That's all I could think was like another one of these, but with guns instead.
But my absolute favorite part of that, though, is at the last, he hits the door closes. He's the smoothest fucking dude in the planet who pulls the pin, one hand, throws it in there. But my favorite part, he still tries to shoot a little bit before the door. There's like a second left. He's still like, that was my favorite part of the whole movie, maybe. It's just that little bit of like, I still want to.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like totally excessive. Like even leading into that stunt where he doesn't
Throws himself
care
into-
anymore, obviously, because he's dead, and he's on that motorcycle and just runs right into that chain and just goes flying and going across the floor and starts shooting at guys. And oh, you could not get any more 80s than that. I still love this movie, but I look at it now as almost as if it's a parody of those movies back in the day because it's so freaking
It's
over
so
the
extreme.
top. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the action, the gunplay, the violence, and even the effects. So it's just, and there's several moments in the story that makes no sense, and the fact that, spoiler alert, everybody dies. I don't think there's a single character that survives this movie. I'm trying to think. Did the coroner girl die? She might be the only one that lived. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either.
Pretty
So-
cool cast. A lot of
Vincent
names in
Price
there.
and Darren McGavin. Hell yeah.
yeah, Darren McGavin, Joe Piscopo's Pecs, Treat Williams,
Martha Quinn. Hello. Robert Picardo, though.
Robert Picardo,
Oh, yeah, I
right at the
forgot.
beginning.
Just
Dick
watched this
Miller.
and I forgot he was in it. Well, Dick Miller was supposed to be
Supposed to
in it.
be.
That was something since I had just seen this not super long ago on the last drive-in, I instead took the opportunity to listen to the commentary track because I also have that 4K disc, and it was interesting. They were talking about, that was one of the things that bummed me out the most, is when they were talking about, oh, there was a scene with Dick Miller and they made us cut it because it didn't really like have a purpose other than we want to put Dick Miller in the movie, and they said they had to send it
That's
back
enough of a
to
reason.
Right, I know. For us, it is. They had to send it back to the MPAA like 7 or 8 times to
Right.
not get an X rating for all the gore. So you're talking about how gooey and gross the movie is already,
Yep.
and to like imagine how. Of course, it was probably all, they trimmed like 3 frames out here, and
right.
because so much of that stuff is just if the scene goes on a little too long, they have a problem with it, and then you can kind of trick the censors by just snipping little bits here and there. But
So yeah, we cut every scene.
Maybe
Yeah.
little bits, but between that and the story you're talking about cutting Dick Miller's scene, doesn't the whole movie editing wise just feel kind of like a choppy mess? Like this thing
does.
just goes from beat to beat, just like walking into one scene and exiting a scene from 5 scenes ago.
yeah, and they talk about that some in the commentary too. That just rushed production, and there was so much to do on it, and it just kind of got away from them. And I saw this movie the first time back, not as long ago as Mike did, but I was probably in college, I think. Like I saw it on DVD or something, and I fucking hated it.
Oh,
Cause I still want to push Joe Piscopo into a trash compactor. He's not funny. He's
No, he's not.
Oh,
interesting.
but
he's
so
just terrible.
he's so unfunny that it kind of goes back to funny.
Yeah.
It's like if
You're like
Andrew
laughing
Dice
at
Clay
him,
was a
not with
real
him.
person and not a character. But yeah, it's grown on me over like seeing it on the last drive-in. I had a little more fun with it, and then listening to the commentary and watching it again. It's like, yeah, there's enough to like in this weird, messy little movie that it's growing on me. Another watch or two, and maybe I'll grow to really love it instead of just thinking it's fun. But Treat Williams is great. I mean, I've always
Yeah.
thought he was kind of an
Oh, yeah.
underrated
Yeah, leading man.
actor.
Yeah.
That I always like him when he pops up in it, and he shows up in some of the weirdest things. Like, well, he's great in Deep Rising,
So good.
but he's
Oh, yeah.
he's in one of those shitty Italian shark exploitation movies that Severin put out last year. I think it's Night of the Sharks. I think is the one he's in. It's like, what the fuck is Treat Williams doing in this? But okay, sure, I'm along for the ride. He's fun. I think I didn't realize it. I don't know why I didn't recognize him because I know what he looks like, but I didn't catch it until they pointed it out in the commentary. The biker cop that tries to arrest, I forget which character it was that
Yeah.
it's Shane Black. It's the brother.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was written by Terry Black, who was his brother. And then that scene where his hand turns zombified, where it like goes from flesh colored to that really weird mottled
Yeah.
thing. the way they did that was really cool. It was something that they wanted to do on a previous movie, but they ran out of time and money to do. But it's done by filming the hand being airbrushed.
Cool.
Except they started with the hand as the zombie color and held the airbrush just off camera and sprayed it flesh tone and then reversed the film. So you can't see the mist from the paint gun because it's so fine it doesn't show up on camera. But then when you show, like, it's just a effect there in camera in real time, and it just looks so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, love it. And that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about Steve Johnson's work. I'm assuming he did that bit, right? Is that he's always
he did everything else. It was just that one scene, the deli scene, was done by a different guy.
He's always coming up with, like, I think he's got one of the more outside the box brains from those effects artists of the 80s. He's always experimenting with different things to achieve different results, and a lot of times those results really pan out. Another person that got cut from the film was also Linnea Quigley, who Steve Johnson was married to. They had met on the set of Night of the Demons, as he becomes fascinated with her as he's casting her breasts for the lipstick through the nipple shot. He proposes to her on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 while she's naked and covered in slime bursting through Freddy's chest. So she's supposed to be in dead heat. There's like a scene, and I was trying to remember. I should have gone back and watched like the special features. I can't remember if it's when the woman in the bathroom deteriorates. If it's that scene, or if I think it's actually part of the scene where he's looking at himself in the mirror and he sees himself as full-on zombie for a split second, has that little quick hallucination. But I think it's that scene, because I think the hallucination goes on even longer, where he turns around and there's this like dancing, rotting corpse, and that was Linnea Quigley in a full black bodysuit with doing a puppetry of the dancing.
There's some footage of a real brief footage of that in the extras.
Yeah, I think that's also on because I only have the DVD. I don't have the big fancy Blu-ray you guys have, but
it's 4K now.
Yeah, 4K. But I think that's still on there, because I know I've seen those shots, those behind-the-scenes shots of the dancing corpse. So yeah, they met in 1988. They divorced in 1992. There you go. Fun facts.
Because as talented of an effects guy as he is, Steve Johnson is kind of a giant douchebag.
Heard a lot of horror stories about him as kind of being a prick. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the last Vincent Price movies. One of.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because it's blatantly obvious he's not in the environment with any other actors.
Yeah.
Well, shit. What year was this?
88
or 86.
Well, he was in Edward Scissorhands in '94. So.
Yeah. I know, but yeah, I think his health problems started all the way back then, though, too.
Well, they were talking about on the commentary too that the scenes that he's in that big boardroom thing were shot in a studio where he had filmed one of his early, like, moved back in the 40s before he was a horror guy, when he was doing like melodrama type stuff. He had shot a movie there. And so they were talking about how whenever they'd break for lunch or whatever, he'd be sitting around with the cast and telling stories like, oh yeah, over in that corner, that's where we shot this scene in this movie that I was in, and just like reminiscing and regaling everyone with stories. And they were just talking about how both he and Darren McGavin were just like the nicest, sweetest, most professional guys, and everyone was just so excited to be working with them, and they totally lived up to everyone's expectations, which is always nice to hear.
Yeah, that would have been cool to be on the set with both of those guys. Hell yeah. But that makes me think, okay, so story holes, right? What is the convenience of the head mortician for the police department being part of this evil master plan of rich people that are bringing them back from the dead? And the biggest clue is the license plate that says Body Doc.
They thought it would be a funny visual joke to have his. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying. It's the 80s. I know Jason's favorite thing about this movie is Treat Williams' character's name.
Mortis.
Roger Mortis. Jason is a big fan of jokey character names.
It's
At
so
least
clever.
they weren't
I mean,
all named after horror directors, right?
Hate it.
Same thing. Yep. I know we got best kill and everything like that later, but I need to ask right now, favorite funny moment. What's the funniest moment of this movie for you?
Oh, mine was definitely that last little gunshot.
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end, yeah.
Like, hands down, probably your favorite moment of the whole movie. Anybody else?
I mean, hard to
Joey.
argue against the deli scene.
Yeah, I would say that whole thing is just so morbidly funny, especially
Yep.
when the beef carcass
Yes,
comes
come
clomping out and just
it does the
consumes
hoof.
him into its cavity.
Yes.
When you first see it, it does the little hoof thing, like a
Kicking,
charging
yeah.
bull.
Well, and that in the script, it was supposed to be a side of beef, and on when they were prepping the scene, they looked at it was like, how the fuck are we going to get a side of beef to charge out of the cooler? That's stupid. We got to make it the whole thing.
That's stupid.
And then it's just a guy in a suit.
Oh, nice.
It works great.
Out of that whole scene, I've seen this movie 100 times, and it still makes me chuckle every time in that scene is when the big giant flab of liver or whatever that is goes flying into Treat Williams' face, and his muffled response is, "What the fuck is this?" cracks me up every time.
And the duck heads.
And the duck heads, yep, that are still quacking even though they're disconnected heads.
They were originally going to use actual duck carcasses for that.
Oh, no.
And they were told, like, that's gross. You can't do that. It'll smell terrible, and it's just kind of, weird.
Yep.
Please don't. And they're like, fine. So they took the duck carcasses they were going to use as marionettes and molded them. So they're still, those are not sculpted. Those are actual molded dead ducks. But at least they were a little less disrespectful of the dead.
Oh, man.
And we didn't even really talk about Darren McGavin, the dad from A Christmas Story. He's like their
You mean
lieutenant or
Kolchak the
whatever.
Night Stalker?
I knew that would be Brian's response. to
No,
that.
from Christmas. Yeah, from A Christmas Story. It's dad from. It's an old man from Christmas Story. Okay.
Jason, did you like it?
Oh, yeah, I've always liked this movie.
Okay.
I mean, Piscopo gets harder and harder to take every watch,
Oh,
but
Yeah, but like I said,
all the
No,
other
he gets
parts are
better
so
every
fun.
watch.
Yeah.
that's because I've come around to where I'm laughing at him and not with him, with his bad jokes.
Yeah.
And he's more palatable when he's standing next to Treat Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Treat is doing a great job playing off of him as best as he can. So, yeah. Sorry, Joe Piscopo. Don't beat me up with those gorgeous pecs of yours. Tad, what trivia do we have for Dead Heat?
We'll see what I have left after Brian listened to the commentary. This is one that he did not have. The building used for Dante Pharmaceuticals happens to also be the set for the movie Biodome.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
I love Biodome.
Me too.
Me too.
Oh, sweet. You know, I
That
saw
movie's
Can we get
dumb
that
as
on the
shit,
episode
but I
somehow?
love it.
I saw Biodome in the theater.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think I probably saw it on TBS in the I don't know, probably a few years after it came out.
When that movie came out, I was living in Albia at the time, and they have, they have a movie theater, but it's an older movie theater that's right off of downtown, and it would only play second run stuff. So I saw the stuff at that theater that you wouldn't see playing in half of the state. So they would always get the second runs of the movies no one even heard of, like Biodome. I remember seeing Mrs. Winterbourne in that. Remember that one with Was it Brandon Fraser and Ricky Lake, I think? Anyway,
No
sorry,
idea what
trivia.
you're talking about.
No one's seen that.
That's fair.
And then the only other piece I had I had the info about Shane Black, which is sort of cool. But his brother, writer Terry Black, was approached by New World Pictures to write a sequel to Dead Heat. Black told a New World executive that a sequel would be hard to do because all of the characters died at the end of the film. The executive responded, "You've got a resurrection machine. You figure it out." And
Right?
but the sequel never got made.
Oh.
So
He was saying in the commentary that he's got a good chunk of a treatment written for it. Like, obviously they couldn't have Treat Williams back, but that he's got they just can't get the funding for it anymore, basically, because it's kind of too far gone.
Yeah.
and that's what I have for trivia.
Okay, I had one that I was holding off on in case you had it. So,
Go ahead.
This movie takes a lot of inspiration, obviously, from the 1949 film DOA, which is about a poisoned accountant who tries to solve who poisoned him before he dies. So, very similar plot line, just without the horror / sci-fi twist to it. Edmund O'Brien's character in DOA, his name is Frank Bigelow. Joe Piscopo's character's name in this is Doug Bigelow, which is obviously a nod to DOA.
Cool.
All right, Brian, what's our next film?
From 1995, it's Species.
In January, a message from an extraterrestrial source was picked up at the Parkes Observatory in Australia. A new sequence of DNA, friendly instructions on how to combine it with ours.
This growth is amazing.
The decision was made to terminate the experiment.
He's breaking out!
She escaped. We have a serious emergency on our hands. I want a team to track her. Hunt her down.
You created a monster, now you want us to kill it.
We decided to make it female so that it would be more docile and controllable.
More docile and controllable. I guess you guys don't get out much.
She wants to have a baby.
She'll kill anyone that gets in her way.
I wouldn't hurt you. Yes, you would. Just don't know it yet.
She'd have a dozen babies. She could lay 1,000 eggs.
Something's wrong.
Open the damn door!
Oh, God.
The scientists at SETI, that is the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, excuse me, get a message from outer space that is basically a recipe for shake and bake space monster, and they decide to go ahead and try it without, really researching it first, and with predictably bad results. When the creature escapes, the head scientist, Dr. Fitch, calls in a team made up of an anthropologist, a molecular biologist, a hitman, and the world's shittiest psychic to track the monster down before she can breed and obliterate the human race. Man, when this movie came out, it was... Like, you guys remember how big a deal this thing was?
Yeah.
Like, special magazines just dedicated to it. I remember one of the, it was 60 Minutes or 2020 or one of those, like, nightly news program kind of things. I remember they aired a segment talking about the special effects in this, mostly centered around the digital effects, which seemed like a weird thing to celebrate considering they looked like shit even in 1995, yes. And they look really bad now. But, and of course, in 1995, I was 13, so everyone, the big talk about people my age is, oh, there's this new movie, Species, and it's this monster movie, and it's super gory, which is not, and it's got all this sex in
Nudity.
it, which it has a little bit, but but when you're 13, like I remember Barbed Wire was a big deal too for basically the same reason. It doesn't live up to that.
It was like barbed wire's porn, basically.
Right, and that's what this was treated like too. And then you watch it and you're like, well, that's kind of anyway. Species is basically a less good version of Splice. It was the idea for it came to the writer originally when he was working on a movie, and I know Mike knows this one because I think it came up on the show one time. Real Men.
Okay.
The one with John Ritter
and
John Belushi. No, Jim Belushi.
Jim Belushi.
It's the shitty Belushi.
Yeah.
And a plot about stopping some kind of alien invasion. So this had been percolating for a really long time, and eventually it landed on Frank Mancuso Jr.'s desk, and he was like, "Ooh, I know how to make horror movies really successful," because he'd produced a bunch of the Friday the 13th movies and stuff, and so they got it going, and they knew they needed a really a monster that could really set them apart. And who does weird, unique monsters better than H.R. Giger, right? Yeah. So they approached him, and he was like, okay, I can do all this stuff. And he was, even like during the shoot, he would just be like bombarding them with new concept art and designs of things. They're like, dude, we're shooting the movie now. Stop. We have all that we need. But like that ghost train that you see in the dream sequences, he built that. Like he's very hands-on, and he worked on building the suit for Alien too. So like when he works on a movie, he's like, wants to get his hands in the mix. But his vision for Syl was that she should almost look like she's made of glass, which obviously is really fucking hard to do with a creature suit, which they built a suit and did have a stunt performer. I think she was an Olympic swimmer or something. I have it in my notes and I lost it. But anyway, they did build this suit, but they only used it in a few shots. Yeah. And obviously for some of the because they wanted Syl to be able to move in a way that didn't look like a person was doing it. So that's where the digital came in, unfortunately. But they also built, for a lot of the scenes of her, represented by practical effects, it was a full-size marionette built out of like lucite and all these. They actually developed some new materials to build this, like the shit didn't exist before until they created it for this, because they needed clear materials that were flexible and they could move around, but that would be strong enough that when they were flailing this puppet all over the place, it wouldn't just fall apart. So this movie is so frustrating to watch, because it feels like, despite the fact that the practical stuff looks fucking amazing, it feels like you're attending the wake for practical effects. Yep. Because you can see, because all the little corners they cut with the digital stuff, because it's faster. It's, I don't know if it's because they had a lot of problems building the puppet Syl, so the producers were looking at, we're spending all this time and money on this thing, and meanwhile these digital guys are cranking these scenes out like there's no tomorrow. Well, that kind of changed now, because it takes so much longer to make really good looking CGI, that I think, and we've kind of turned a corner to where people are, or have for probably the last 10 years or so, kind of reacting against CGI a lot of the time and trying to put more practical effects back in their movies again. But at the time, this felt like, shit, that's it. And this was one of the last really big movies that used a lot of practical effects and model work. By 96, 97, you got like Armageddon and Event Horizon have some really fantastic model work in them. And even like, was it 99 that Dante's Peak came out? There's some amazing modeled, like, miniature destruction scenes in that. But yeah, by this time, it was really kind of getting phased out. And so it's kind of sad. And also the story depends a lot on stupidity. Like, Fitch is an idiot. The psychic, like I said earlier, the world's worst psychic, he's basically just there to reiterate things that we as the audience have already seen happen. So he serves no purpose, this story, which is a damn shame because Forrest Whitaker's a great actor.
Yeah, I love
but
him.
he's just given such a heap of shit to work with in this. and
you only
not
bring
only
one
do
assassin? Right.
What's that?
Your team consists of only one assassin? One
Right.
Yeah,
person who
seems like you'd want more than one gun.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they also mention at the same time that the aliens send the recipe to make Syl, there's just this little throwaway line of, and they also sent us a thing for unlimited clean energy. Anyway, back to the monster. Talk about burying the lead. Why would you make the monster before you made the clean energy thing?
You can't weaponize clean energy.
Yeah, but that being said, performance-wise, the highlight of this movie, kind of strangely, is Natasha Henstridge as the human appearance of Syl. And this was her first big feature role. She'd been a model before, which explains why she was so comfortable with the nudity and had, really projects this confidence with her body. But because she's also kind of, like, she doesn't have a ton of emoting to do, but I think that kind of naivete in her performance, because she wasn't a really seasoned actor, helps to make her seem more vulnerable too. Because in a way, the antagonist of the movie is also the protagonist, because she's a creature that has never existed before. She's a hybrid between an alien and a human, and so she's completely alone in the world, even in the universe, because even if she could find her way back to the creatures that, sent the DNA code thing, she's not one of them either. She's completely alone, scared, running for her life. You sympathize with her way more than you do with any of the human characters.
Yeah. For definitely the first half, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of takes a turn more towards the darker side, obviously.
Right.
I think when she finds out
that's
what
because
her
she's being
purpose is.
hunted. Yeah, she finds out what her purpose is, but then she is also like, the hunters are closing in, so naturally she's going to become more aggressive. Wouldn't you? Can you blame her?
No.
But all that being said, the most interesting thing about this movie isn't really anything to do with the movie. It's the fact that this movie is where the chupacabra came from.
What?
Yeah. Now, when you think of cryptids, you think of Bigfoot, werewolves, lake monsters, all that kind of stuff.
Skunk
From any culture on any continent around the world, you sort of assume that they're part of some ancient lore going back centuries, maybe even long, to the dawn of civilization, of men telling horror stories. Well, around this time in Puerto Rico, there had been a bunch of livestock killings, which I don't know that they ever really did quite figure out what was going on there. It was probably something as simple as they just got sick and died, because that's generally how those things go. But this woman named Madeline Tolentino described seeing a creature near her mother's house in August of '95 that was bipedal, had a humanoid posture, long skinny arms, big buggy wet eyes, and spines on its back, and like big claws. And funnily enough, right around the same time this movie was released in the US and Puerto Rico, and as more and more publicity photos and things that, making of books and things like that came out of the concept art, people started describing chupacabras in different physical forms that more or less matched all these different things about these different images of concept ideas for Syl, to the point where it came out at one point that there was going to be a scene where Syl could burrow into the ground like fucking Bugs Bunny or something. And it was even partially shot. but it was deemed like, this is getting expensive and it looks like shit. It's really silly. We're just going to throw this out. But within a few months, sure enough, somebody reported seeing a chupacabra being able to do that. Like, the greatest viral marketing manager in the world could not have come up with a better scenario than this. And it's like this weird convergence of mass film marketing and mass hysteria and conspiracy theories that just... So, yeah, you think, like, oh, the chupacabra, surely they've been telling stories about this in South America for centuries, right? Nope. 1995 was the first sighting of the chupacabra, and by God, it looked just like Syl.
That's crazy. Freaking goat sucker.
So what'd you guys think of Species?
I haven't seen this since since it came out back in the day, and I remember hating it back then. And it probably had a lot to do with the CGI. So I like it a lot better now, but there's definitely still a lot of issues with this movie. Yeah, again, the CGI is still so bad, but there's just several moments, and I understand, it's like you talked about, getting it to move in the way that is unnatural for a human in a suit to do, or maybe even a marionette puppet. But there are shots in this movie, static shots of Syl that is still done CGI. Mm-hmm. And that is a freaking crime. Just because you can, I guess. But here's my biggest issue with the film. I feel like the movie's pretty solid throughout until like you really get to the final conflict. And I feel like maybe they were either running out of money or they were just like, yeah, I'm done with this. Let's wrap this up. Because it doesn't do. I don't know if you would consider it maybe a trope or something that I just expect. But you see in these kind of movies like monsters raised in the lab type films, like a Fly 2 or like you said, Slice, where there's like a final conflict between the original doctor caretaker of this creature having a moment with the creature, and you don't get that in this one. Like, this movie, they set it up in the beginning. They Ben Kingsley and the little girl are sharing these looks, and she's screaming to him for help. So when it comes down to the final moment and Syl is confronting Ben Kingsley there at the end, she just kills him. There's not... They set it up, but then don't deliver any moment of like, oh, right, maybe she is going to spare him, or just confrontation of like, hey, I loved you and I looked at you as a father, but you did me so wrong.
Like, you don't get any catharsis out of it if there's no emotional beat. It's just nope, another dead guy.
Yep. So, just... leaving it to be like, what was the point of having Ben Kingsley's character follow this group around through the whole movie? It felt like he, at that moment, it was like his character was totally pointless.
Because they had Ben Kingsley on the payroll and had to keep putting him in the movie, probably.
Yeah. If you're going to pay that kind of money for Ben Kingsley, you're going to use him. I like the plan of her faking her own death. I thought it was clever, and I like how they set it up really well, where they're giving you hints of it, of like her plan coming together. Because I'm sitting there watching this, it's like, why does she just have this woman hog-tied up in her own house? Why is she sparing this woman, but she's holding her captive? And then cutting off her own finger, or was it a toe? I don't remember. Cutting off one of her little phalanges and putting it in the purse. I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand. And then when you get to that moment of like the car crash, I'm like, oh, this was all set up to make it look like that she's dead now and they're going to quit following her. But there's still some logic flaws in this plan. Like, you mean to tell me that they found the toe amongst this giant fireball of death versus the charred body in the passenger seat, mind you, not in the driver's seat, but in the passenger seat, that is not her DNA at all. So, a little bit of flaws there, I think. You would think that they would have done a little bit more research before signing Sill's death certificate at that moment. That's just me. But again, I thought, like, as far as storyline goes, the storytelling goes, I felt like they set all that up really, really, really well. I liked how that unfolded and came together as we're realizing it as stuff is happening. Yeah. And Jason, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did Sill's monster noises, especially towards the end there, sound familiar to you at all?
What were they?
You know who did her monster voices there at the end? Frank motherfucking Welker, man.
Oh yeah, Megatron himself.
Yeah, said his it hurt his throat, and it was one of the most strenuous things he had to do, but he loved doing it.
Yeah, because it's all just
like Megatron's voice, yeah. Awesome, or Soundwave.
Anyway, so I like it better than I did back in the day. I'm still not overly thrilled with it. The ending really kind of hurt it for me, but I was having a lot of fun up till that point.
I think this is, a first-time watch for me. I mean, I was 10 when this came out, but I remember it being a big deal because, like, you know, Brian mentioned how big a video it was. I mean, McFarlane had a Movie Maniacs figure on this thing.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
They had a bunch of them. They had some of the creatures from the second one, too, which is even worse than this one.
Right. And I think I've seen the second one because it would play on, like, HBO late at night. And when I was, 13 or something, it was like, okay, monster movie, naked chicks. And then watch this one all the way through, and I'm not going to say that it's a great movie by any means, but like an ensemble cast, it's just very much a product of its time, good and bad. But I agree with Brian when he sort of said it's like it feels like sort of the funeral for practical effects where you can see them sort of poking through, but you see like where they're trying, like you said, cutting corners, but like trying to learn and what can we do with this thing. And at the time it might have been like pretty like, whoa, that's really good. And now it's just very bad, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. And I love the cast. I love the stereotype of like everybody's we have the smart guy, we have the, badass, we have the medium, it's just so funny. Like everybody has their typical role. We have like our Avengers, but we take one guy that can actually like do anything. When they go out to like a club and they're getting drunk, it's so stupid, but I for some reason love it. I enjoyed it for what it is. It feels like something I would have watched late night on TV, whether it was like edited on TBS or caught it on HBO late at night and watched it, when I wasn't supposed to. Like my mom would be in the other room and not know I was watching this thing. But it's weird. Like, how can I be nostalgic for something I don't think I've ever seen? But it feels like a lot of movies that came out right around that time, and I'm okay with it. I enjoyed it. It kept me entertained all the way through, which, that says something. So I'm not going to go rush out and try to find a Blu-ray of this. I probably, it would be something if I'm trying to kill some time on a lunch break on Pluto TV and it's on, I'll throw it on. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I haven't, like you, Mike, I haven't seen it since the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've even mentioned the full cool cast. You got Michael Madsen in there. You got Alfred Molina and Michelle Williams. Like, there's some stars in there. It's really great. I think I just agree with all the things you're saying, except for like the CGI doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. I can use my imagination, and so like it's fine. I mean, especially I thought when her face changes when she's kind of in the water thing. Like I thought that was still really cool. That
wasn't bad.
But
it's all the jumping around stuff at the end that feels really dated to me.
Yeah. But in spite of all that, I still kind of like it. Yeah. I mean,
sure.
I still kind of like it. I liked it then, and kind of like it now. It's still all right. And yeah, I'd prefer Splice. But this is, it's a different movie. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's sort of cool to see Madsen not be like the bad guy, right?
Right.
Like he probably just took this because he's like, "Fuck, I get to play a hero for once." And
yeah, it's the original Justice League movie. What are you talking about?
It's the original Avengers movie.
Oh, Avengers.
We're putting a team together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what trivia do you have for Species?
Funny enough, most of mine is on H.E. Giger. Is that how you pronounce it, Brian, or is it Geiger?
H.R. Giger.
H.R. Giger?
Giger, yeah.
Giger. Okay.
As in Giger
During the production, MGM opted not to shoot the Nightmare Train sequence to keep costs down. Giger was not willing to accept that, however, so he spent $100,000 of his own money to finance the sequence.
Jesus, 100,000. It's like 2 seconds of the movie.
I know. For the scene in which Syl is born from the cocoon, the train set was built upside down. Natasha Henstridge, totally naked and covered in KY jelly lubricant, was pushed through the cocoon, and the shot was flipped upside down afterwards to achieve the effect of her falling out.
Nice.
Giger also appropriated the Nightmare Train sequence from another one of his projects at the time, Isobar, a sci-fi action thriller about an alien creature that wreaks havoc on a futuristic high-tech train. The film was to have starred Stallone, Kim Basinger, Walter Matthau, and Jim Belushi, but never got made due to script problems and the financial failures of Carloco Pictures. So he just ended up using that scene in this. Sort of interesting, a lot of Giger stuff for, he really just sort of... I also read, and I don't have this on my notes, that he had all these great ideas of, like, he wanted Seal to be, like, translucent, and when she got more angry, she would glow, and the studio was like, we can't do that even with the CGI. So out of spite, Giger made a suit that would do that and showed them, and and then they said no anyways, and he was sort of like, fuck you. He was pissed off about it. And I also read, I don't know if they filmed it or if it was just an idea, but they wanted to end the film with a big like flamethrower finale where they, burnt it with a big flamethrower, and Giger was like, no, they already did that in Alien. They did that. He's like, that's how you end every sci-fi movie. You can't do the same thing every other sci-fi movie. So he put his foot down, and they decided to listen to him that time. So that's that for trivia.
Excellent. All right. So, hey, Jason.
What's that, Mike?
What's our next movie?
Our next movie is from 1993, the year I graduated high school. Shut up, Ted. Hey,
old.
We're talking about Return of the Living Dead 3.
They vowed to stay together forever, that their love would never die. But their pledge remained untested.
Oh, cool.
No problem. I'm the boss's son, remember?
Until they went looking for a thrill and stumbled on the chilling fact.
Let's proceed.
That even the dead can go on living.
It came back to life.
We gotta get out of here.
And tonight, fate will put their promises to the test.
Oh my God.
Now that she's dead, he's frightened to live without her. But bringing her back is terrifying.
Oh, God, Kurt, that was incredible. Let's do it again.
Contain it, damn it! Seal it off now!
Is that what I'm gonna become?
These poor dead bastards crave brains.
She bit me. She gave you something bad.
I feel so hungry.
Never find you down here.
What have you done?
If she attacks him, he becomes like her.
I just get a little confused sometimes.
Love never dies.
Return of the Living Dead 3, a movie I've always had a soft spot for, and one I've been excited to talk about. Directed by Brian Usna, this entry takes the franchise in a darker, more tragic direction, blending body horror, punk attitude, and surprisingly emotional storytelling in a way that really stands out. At the center of it all is Melinda Clarke, who gives an unforgettable performance that turns this into something more than just another zombie movie. It's grim, romantic, gross in all the right ways, and totally fearless. This one hits different, and I can't wait to get into it and why it still holds up for me all these years. Love this movie. Well, Brian Usna, we got the Reanimators and Society. We love his work. It's great. This is early 90s, so like Strangeland's around this time too. I was filling my face full of piercings and stuff and other body parts, and like that was really popular. I mean, it's always popular, but like personally was going through all that too, so seeing that represented on screen was really neat. Just that, yeah. And Melinda Clarke, I mean,
Yeah.
So anyway,
doesn't get much hotter than her in this movie.
Wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating Ritz crackers in bed.
Yeah, so I've always loved this movie. It feels more 90s than ever, every time. But like, I don't know, it fits in that Usna world. I think I love it in the Return of the Living Dead universe. Seeing Trioxin again, just seeing that, and zombies coming back, and I don't know, I love it. What do you guys think?
I love this movie.
Yes.
Almost as much as the original Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Maybe as much.
Yes.
I've loved it ever since I first saw it back. I was probably in high school at some point. I remember I picked up, there was like a big VHS clearance house that would like go around and buy up movies from closing rental stores, and then about every year or so they would open up in one of the vacant spaces in our mall. And so you'd go in and it would just be table after table of all these tapes for sale. So I got so much awesome stuff that I'd been wanting to see forever, but our rental store never had. I'd just go in there and pick it up for like $1 or $2, and this is one of them. And I remember the first time I watched it, just like, watching it when you're really young hits too, because the lead characters are young, so you get this like this impetuous, burning hormones, undying love for each other. Like even when their actions are stupid, you understand it because they're doing it for each other, and they're just so devoted to staying together and beating the world against all odds, until you get to that amazing ending that is just the most heartbreaking, beautiful. It's like fucking Romeo and Juliet with crazy gore effects, basically, and zombies. It's, far and away, like not even close, this is my favorite movie of the night. It's just, I fucking love this flick. The effects are all great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, even watching it this time, because I kind of expected, like, maybe I'm not gonna love it as much this many years on because I'm older, and I don't have quite that same connection to those younger characters and all those really amped up feelings. But instead of feeling like I didn't connect with them anymore and didn't really get it, it kind of reignited some of that. You know what I mean? Like watching again made me feel a little younger or something. I mean, that seems weird. And sort of stupid, but I'm not articulating this very well. But the point is, this movie fucking rules, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I remember getting this DVD in high school. I had seen the first Return of the Living Dead this is one of the few franchises I actually watched in order. I saw the first movie and really loved it and thought it was a blast. And then caught the second one, I think, on, again, probably Starz or HBO late at night. And I actually really have a soft spot for this part 2. I really do enjoy it. I later found out that people don't love that one, and people loved
the second
3.
One's
and
fucking terrible.
And I never even knew a third one existed, and then found out about it and after like so much praise, hearing so much hype, like it was the best in the franchise and it's so awesome. And I don't know what I was expecting, but the first time I watched it, I like picked up I remember getting the DVD maybe one year for Christmas or something, and I wasn't blown away. And I think it's because my expectations were so high. But over the years, I've probably watched it 3 or 4 more times, and every time I watch it, I like it more because I know what I'm getting into. It's a very different tone. Like Brian said, it's more of a love story, and it's still very much another, as I said earlier, this one also is sort of a product of its time. But I sort of like that because it's within the franchise, but it's also its very own thing. It can sort of be standalone and be its own movie, and the effects are fucking cool as shit, and the performances are actually really good, and the writing's really good. It sort of reminds me maybe of, in that way, like the Reanimator franchise where they all have their strong suits. I mean, at least the first 2. But
hey, I love the third Reanimator. You back off.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think after the first time I watched it, I just had something else in my mind. My expectations were really high, so I'm glad that like I get to revisit it again. And I actually like pulled a physical movie off of my shelf, a DVD, and put it in a tray and closed the tray and watched it. And yeah, it holds up. It's good. I loved it. A good episode overall. I liked all 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like this movie. Maybe not as much as I did back then. I think I'm the opposite of Brian, that I've become a little more cynical about the romanticized Romeo and Juliet ending of the whole thing. It's just, with those themes, I'm just at a point in my life, and particularly right now, that it's harder to watch than it used to be. So, it's easier to be a little harsher on the film than I probably was back then. So, my star rating would probably not be as high right now as it probably was back in the 90s. And I only bring this up is that, for shows like this or any other, movie review podcast show, is that it's a testimony as to not taking anyone's criticisms too seriously. And set in stone. I've definitely proven that over the years that, opinions can change based on where you're at in life and can be swayed in either direction with what's going on in your lives at the moment. Final Destination franchise is definitely proof of that for me. But I still really like it. I really love how Brian Usna decided to stay within the Return of the Living Dead universe, but doing something completely different. Where the second film, and I'm sorry, I like the second film, is basically trying to do the exact same thing as the first film, only highly watered down. So much so that, recasting the same actors as the first film that had died in the first film. And this one's doing something completely different with the concept. And making its own thing, but still being within that universe. I don't think there's a zombie in this whole movie that says brains.
Not a zombie, but yeah, they say brains.
Was there
from, like one of the scientists?
Well, it says that they crave
not
brains, but in like the first 2 movies, that's all the zombies said was
Yeah.
just screaming brains through the whole thing. So much so that it is leaked into the zeitgeist of our culture of like, whenever people say, do your zombie impression, they put their arms out and go brains. And that's, because of Return of the Living Dead. And now we have a movie within its franchise that doesn't do that. That doesn't do that at all. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they're not you don't even really see, and they talk about how they crave brains, yes, but you don't really see any of these zombies when they're attacking people going for the brains. So I find that really, really interesting. And also really, really interesting is that this is the first film in the entire franchise that shows what happens to some... Well, I guess that's not true. Trash also comes back from after being attacked. But other than her, like, nobody that's killed by a zombie in the other 2 films comes back as a zombie. This one does. And I still say Trash is also an exception to that, because I feel like she's laying there dead, being soaking in the chemicals in the rainwater. That's what brings her back, and it's not being attacked by the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's also interesting, like now we have like the plague, a plague that's growing because of traditional getting bitten by zombies in this one. So really appreciate Brian using it, doing something different within the franchise. And that's what makes one of the things so great about this. But also what's cool about it is that, we've seen 2 other films where it's hordes of zombies, and you don't get that in this movie. It's a gradual, this person comes back, this person comes back, and you don't get a ton of zombie hordes of zombie action in this, but yet you are still invested, involved, and even if you love the other 2 films like I do, you're not disappointed by the fact that you're not getting an army of zombies attacking you, or attacking them. One more thing I want to talk about, and this might be the longest rant. But I want to talk about, since we're talking about Steve Johnson, I'm going to put my effects artist critic hat on for a moment, because not only do I love a lot of gore, I love special effects, practical effects, all that stuff, but I study that. I've studied that stuff. I've studied these artists, and I could tell you, I can watch a film and tell you, okay, that's a Steve Johnson effect, or that's a Tom Savini effect. One of the things about this particular film, as far as like Steve Johnson goes, sure, there's a lot of cool effects. There's a lot of imagination going on in these effects. There's cool looking zombies and whatnot, and some gore, some fun gore. But I don't feel like it's his best work personally, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of the texture in the effects in this comes off as like really dry and or rubbery, really rubbery. And when you look at, say, like Dead Heat again, when you look at like when Treat Williams is deteriorating through the film, or any of those other like zombies that attack in that movie, there's a lot of texture in just the simple makeups on the faces, like different color patterns, a lot of like weird little blotchy circles on the faces that you see in a lot of the stuff. You go back and watch Night of the Demons, there's a lot of that going on in there too. He's just got a lot of depth and texture, even in the simple 2D makeups on the faces. And you don't get a lot of that in here, any of that signature kind of Steve Johnson stuff in there. Sure, there's a lot of effects challenges that I feel like Steve drives for in his work, but it's not executed in the same way as I've seen him do before. Take like the head at the end of the spine zombie. It's cool and everything, but it looks pretty stiff. You can almost see the wire,
the Santos one, you mean, where she tears his spine out and then he's walking around like with the... I always thought, and until this showed up on the list for this episode, and because I hadn't seen the movie in so long, I for some reason always thought the effects in this one were screaming Mad George.
Yeah.
And mostly because of that Santos one, because doesn't that seem more like a gag he would do?
Sure. Yes. You're not wrong. But I mean, Steve's got some of that too, because I have some comparisons, like comparing it to, say, like the Angela snake creature in Night of the Demons 2, which, we all know it's obviously the actress with her, body sticking out of the top part of the floor, and her legs underneath it with then like the effects. But that it's like full scale size, and that tail is whipping around way more than a giant piece of foam plastic should. That is a really impressive effect, I think, from him. Also, so I feel personally, and I always say this when it comes to practical effects works. A lot of that's going to depend on your director and your DP. Okay, so if you take like Returns effects in this movie, and some of it could be due to maybe like budgetary restraints and or time. And I'm not saying any of this is bad, but we're talking about Steve Johnson, so I want to throw in my 2 cents on the effects. It doesn't ruin the film. The effects actually elevate the film because it is a lot of fun. But I'm just making comparisons here. That's all I'm doing. So I also think like when you look at Brian using his body of work, Bride of the Reanimator, Society, you can almost look at the effects works in those films, and they kind of almost look like they're done by the same effects house. Like it all looks a little more rubbery than it should.
Yeah, I was going to say when you're talking about texture and smoothness, rubbery, I thought of Society right away. So maybe it is a use and a preference.
Well, and maybe that's also why I assumed this was done by Screaming Mad George, because those were
absolutely.
Or at least, well, Society was, I think, almost totally. Bride of Reanimator had several different.
Yeah. So I find it interesting in that regard that you have a filmmaker who's using different effects artists, but then the final product kind of comes off as looking at like the same effects artists. And I don't know if it could be a matter of that's like you said, Jason, that's what Brian Yuzna wants. Maybe he doesn't always know how to shoot those the best way. So, because, a lot of times angles and lighting make all the difference when it comes to special practical effects. Anyway, not saying good or bad. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there since we're talking about special makeup effects artist Steve Johnson. I felt the need to talk about the effects works. And again, this is just one guy's opinion whose own effects work still involves paper mache, so take everything I have to say with a grain of salt.
We do. Everything.
So what trivia do you have for this one, Ted?
Mr. Paul Rudd auditioned for the role of Kurt.
Holy shit, that'd have been awesome.
That
actor was great, but still.
Yeah, but would have been funny.
Just been great to hold it over Paul Rudd.
Another thing he'd be embarrassed about.
What else do you mean?
Producer's cut. What?
No, he loves Halloween 6. He's actually very proud of it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, I see him being cool.
Yeah, he tried to actually do a Horror Hound convention, and Marvel blocked it.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's very proud of it. The film was released unrated on VHS in addition to the R-rated theatrical cut, using a trimmed between 50 and 60 minutes to get the R rating.
Whoa, where's that cut?
No kidding. Like, where's our
I want to see the 2.5
Blu-ray?
hour long version of this.
Yeah.
Interesting to our talk about effects. 5 different FX companies, including Steve Johnson, were used during the shoot due to tight schedule and the number of effects in this film. And Brian Yuzna was selected to direct this entry as Trimark CEO Mark Amen had loved Society.
Nice. I do too.
Me too.
I hate Society. The movie.
Oh.
Right.
Good one.
I was just going to say, who doesn't love Society? And then you said that, like, where's that crickets noise?
One more thing about the effects, because I forgot to highlight the coolest looking effect in the whole movie. How awesome was her look when she come out all like
badass,
all scarred up and all kinds of garbage just stuck in her body. My favorite is the thing through the hand, but then has like a rope or whatever
from it to pull on it and make it hurt more. Yeah.
Yep. But then she uses that as a weapon, which is even cooler. So cool. All right.
And her performance is incredible too.
Oh yeah.
Like we kind of skipped around that, but like the moments where she has to continually injure herself to keep the hunger down, like she sells the shit out of that stuff. Mm-hmm. She's so good.
Yeah. Okay, let's rank them. Jason, how do you rank these movies?
It's Return 3, and then the first one we talked about, already forgot. Dead Heat, and then Species.
Cool, Brian?
Same as Jason.
Tad?
I'll probably put Dead Heat first, then Return of the Living Dead, then Species.
Cool, I'm with Tad. I put Dead Heat first, too. I've watched it way more times than I've watched Return 3. Still love it, but I just love the overtopness of Dead Heat. So it's Dead Heat, Return 3, and Species.
Jason and I have been agreeing a lot lately. It's making me uncomfortable.
You think you're uncomfortable? Ugh, feel these nipples.
Kill of the episode. Tad, we'll start with you. What was your favorite kill of the show?
It's hard. I mean, do you count the gun shootout in that in Dead Heat at the end there?
Can if you want.
I mean,
they're both already dead.
The grenade.
Yeah, but it's just such a funny scene.
Yep. Brian?
Santos getting boned like a fish in Return of the Living Dead 3.
Oh, spinal cord pulled out of the chest. Yeah, so cool.
Jason?
Mine was the death of Robbie. When Sil kisses him through his head with her tongue.
Yeah.
I think that won Best Kiss on the MTV Movie Awards that year.
That was in the trivia too.
That's awesome. We also hadn't mentioned that when she's in full Sil mode, that tentacles come out of her nipples. Okay, so my kill is from Dead Heat. For me, it's the opening scene with the way over the top big shootout in front of the jewelry store. The two zombie robbers are not even trying to hide behind anything for protection. They're just standing there shooting their little Uzis while the cops, there's like dozens of cops just blowing them, bullet after bullet after bullet. So many bullets flying. Cops dying left and right. And then it takes Treat Williams to take a car and hit one of them head on right up against a wall. And then the other one blows himself up with a hand grenade. Oh, so awesome.
Well, that was another thing in the commentary. They were talking about how they did that shot when he hits him with the car. They built this huge, there's an interview with Steve on the disc too, and he was talking about they built this huge gantry over the street, and because they were trying to figure out how to do this, and they didn't want to do it with just a stunt guy in cutaways, and so they built a full-size dummy of the actor that they could puppet from the top of this gantry. Wow. And had Treat it wasn't Treat, it was his double, whatever. But really just plow that thing into a car so it looked like he was crushing a real body.
That's awesome. Great. That's awesome. Probably helps too that they were wearing those leather masks, so
they look like executioners from medieval times or some shit. Yeah.
But when that car hits, you can't tell it's a dummy because it's wearing the mask. I think that helps. Sweet. All right. Yay. 2 episodes in a row with a lot of good movies. And notice they're all late 80s, early 90s. I'm just saying. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have our final 2 segments. But first, you're going to hear a promo for our podcast network, the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to so many awesome shows, such as Let's Talk Turkey. Good conversations about bad movies where Movie Miss and others discuss bad movies that are considered turkeys, as in less than stellar in someone's opinion. Whether it be a low Rotten Tomato score, a critical bomb, or just simply a film that the host and guest hated. Join them for the laughs at Let's Talk Turkey and check out all the shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome welcome back to the show. We here at Attack of the Killer podcast like to have some time set aside to hear from you guys, the listeners. So here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for
Shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, we asked what are your favorite films featuring the special effects by Steve Johnson, and here are your answers. Up first, we had Attacker Tim Lennerer says, gotta be Big Trouble in Little China, but he's got a couple other bangers on his resume. Innocent Blood, Species, Blade 2, Return of the Living Dead 3, Necronomicon, and Spider-Man 2 are all great stuff and well worth a watch. Agreed. I think we all agree with that.
Totes.
I wish somebody would put Necronomicon out on damn Blu-ray. I haven't seen that forever. It's been really hard to get a hold of. That's a cool movie.
I still have never seen it, honestly.
Up next, we got Attacker Casey Kelderman says, underrated one is Highway to Hell.
Yeah!
Up next, Nightmare Junkhead. Our pals from the South say, Night of the Demons will always have a weird place in our minds and have never seen lipstick the same way, and has worked in Freaked. Puts him in the Hall of Fame for practical effects, plus all the cocaine. Freaked, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Up next, Attacker Scott Reebsman says, Dead Heat is underrated for FX. Oh, man. Heck yeah. And then over in our Facebook group edition, we got Mike Reeb, the Reebster, says, nice. Haven't seen First Power in a long time. So I guess that's his shout out too. That's all he put. Nope. Nice try.
He's an episode behind, but that's okay.
He is. Yep. Oh, maybe I was in the wrong. It's not over there. Okay. Just kidding. Yeah, so that's shout-outs. We don't have any voicemails today, but you can always leave us one. It's super easy. You can call us at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail, and we'll play it on the show. That is shout-outs.
And now, you know him, you love him. He's such a big fan of tonight's topic that he named his Johnson Steve. It's Insane Mike and Insane's Picks.
How do you know?
That's a great idea. I think I am going to name my Johnson Steve, and I'm going to have it tattooed on there. It's going to have to be the full name, though.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm still on my H.R. Bookwalter kick, and you can blame my Secret Santa for that one. Just when I was ready to move on, I got the Shocking Shorts Blu-ray as my Secret Santa gift. And I'm a sucker for homemade films, especially ones made on Super 8. So this Blu-ray has caused my review of Bookwalter's filmography to continue. This time I'm going to cover his most ambitious film ever, and that's Ozone from 1994.
Yeah.
The story is about Detective Eddie Boone, while on a stakeout, is stabbed in the neck with a needle that contains a new street drug called ozone. Now Boone has to fight off the strange effects of the drug while searching for his missing partner. Boone finds himself taking a bizarre path through the city full of strange and grotesque ozone-addicted mutants and zombies as he finds himself starting to turn into one of them. He must finally confront the floppy latex hog-toed mutant humanoid drug kingpin Sam DiBarto for answers. The film stars a lot of Bookwalter regulars. There's James R. Black as Eddie Boone, the star. He was in like Zombie Cop, Maximum Impact, Galaxy of the Dinosaurs. You have Tom Hoover. He was in like Polymorph and Chick Boxer. James Edwards, who's, I'll just say he's in all of Bookwalter's stuff. There's Bill Morrison. He was in Robot Ninja, Galaxy of the Dinosaurs, Dead Next Door. That's just to name a few. Now, I am curious now how J.R. Bookwalter got involved with James Black, though.
Right?
Yeah, I know, right?
He's a real actor. It's so weird.
Not only that, but like when he first started getting into acting, he basically started with J.R. Bookwalter. But James Black was a professional football player back then as well. James was signed to play for the Browns in 1984, becoming the first Akron, Ohio football player to play in the NFL. Then when he decided to go into acting, he started with Bookwalter, and that's fine. But the fact that the movies he started out in were Zombie Cop and Galaxy of the Dinosaurs, and yet he kept coming back to work with Bookwalter. How this film came about is J.R. Bookwalter was very unhappy with the results of making a series of 6 shot-on-video films between 91 and 92. With a collective budget of all 6 films being $15,000. He made those for Dave Dakota's Cinema Home Video. So J.R. Bookwalter, along with producer David A. Wagner, wrote and self-financed Ozone. It was shot on SVHS-C in Akron, Ohio, with an unbelievably low budget of $3,500. There had to have been a lot of favors calling in, because this film is the most ambitious, especially effects-wise, of anything Bookwalter's ever done. There's so many makeup effects in this. You got the street punks that looks like rejects from the Cenobites. You've got the big rubbery monster suit drug kingpin at the end of the film. This might be my favorite Bookwalter film, with so much bizarre images and creative makeup. With even some do-it-yourself digital effects that I feel are kind of decent. I mean, they're kept short, so that helps, but it's mostly some really bad morphing effects. And actually some really decent performances. Something that you don't always see in, say, shot-on-video type films. So I highly recommend everybody check out Ozone. It's on Tubi.
Hell yeah. Do you have the disc of this one?
I have it on DVD. There is a Blu-ray of it.
Yeah, that's what I've got. But
Nice.
Does your DVD have the commentary with Bookwalter and James Black?
Shoot, I'm going to have to go back and check.
If it does, I highly recommend listening to it. It's really fun, and I think it kind of helps answer the reason why does this guy who is in network television shows and stuff keep coming back to these $3,500 they have such a great rapport. They're clearly very good friends.
That's awesome. That's
I
really
think he
cool.
just keeps coming back to do them because he likes doing it.
I just want to be there on the set with James Black when he's shooting Galaxy of the Dinosaurs, which the whole entire movie that JR shot, the stuff that JR shot was in these woods in his backyard. I just want, this professional football.
They touch on that a little bit in that commentary.
Oh,
too.
for real?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm definitely gonna have to check it out, because I just can't imagine okay, this is the type of films this guy makes, and then he just keeps coming back. All right, excellent. So stick a fork in us, because we're done. That's a wrap on another action-packed episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Now that you're done listening, I suggest you go follow us on all the socials. You can find us on X, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can join the conversation with us on Discord. And check out all of our videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then again, help support the show. Keep us going. We can't do it without you. Become one of our Patreon and become an attacker by going to jointheattackers.com. Be sure to leave us a review wherever you can leave reviews, like Apple Podcasts. And now all that crap's out of the way, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time on Attack of the Killer Podcast. Bye.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer Podcast. Attack of the Killer Podcast. Attack